All right, hey everyone, welcome to the Coding Zoo. If this is your first time joining, my name is Shane. This is the Coding Zoo, and we're doing our HTML building blocks lesson. In the last lesson, we covered HTML. In the last lesson, we covered the HTML form element, how to create a form element. We talked about how a form is used to submit data to the server and back. This lesson, we are going to cover some input tags. We're going to cover the input tag with a type of text, and we're going to cover the input tag with the type of search. So if that's something that's new to you or you need a refresh on it, hey, stick around. We're going to jump right in. All right, hey, let's get started. On my desktop, I have an index.html page. They have the basic setup, doc type, HTML head and body, and I have this form element. So in the last lesson, we learned about the form element. I'll put a link right here to that lesson if you want to go back and watch it first. If you're not familiar with the form element, I recommend you do so. And let's go ahead. We're going to jump in and we're going to cover the input type of text. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me make sure I have this page saved. I may cut and paste a little bit of code to save time throughout the lesson. Feel free to stop the video and code as I code, though. Definitely recommend that you practice. Practice makes perfect. It'll stay longer with you. You'll stick it in your memory longer. So definitely play around with the code. You can also download it from our website at thecodingzoo.com. Let's go ahead and jump in. Let's start with the input type of text. So I'm going to add a quick field set to this form element. A field set is just a way of grouping common fields. I'm going to add a legend to it. A legend allows you to put a name on those field sets. So we are going to go over text and we are going to go over the search types. All right, so I'm going to add my input field, INPUT. I'm going to do a type of text. This would allow the user of your web page to enter text. I'm going to give it an ID. An ID can be used by JavaScript to manipulate your text box. I'm going to call it first name. I'm going to give it a name. Now, name is important when you're dealing with forms. This is what the element will be called when it's passed to your server. So both of these pretty much you want to have. And I'm going to skip to the next line there and add another attribute. Now I have the attribute type equals text. The type attribute tells the input element what type of input you're inputting. That was a tongue twister there. So the input element's used for many different types of data, and we're going to go over several of those types in the next coming lessons. All right, so let's add another attribute. Well, let's check it out. Let's see what this element looks like first. I'm going to end my tag there. And I'm going to save it. Before we refresh, I noticed I've got some elements there in red, and that's because I got in a hurry and was typing fast. And I forgot my S. I had a filled et. I don't know what a filled et is. It probably wouldn't do anything. We got a filled set now. Let's work with that. All right. I'm going to click refresh, and there you go. So I have input type, text, and search. My field set is got a border. And here's my form element. And I can type in text. My first name is, well, it's really Anthony. So you have a nice little text box. Let's go back. We're going to add some more attributes. I am going to give it a label first. So you know what that text box is all about. All right, I'm going to put another attribute on here. So this is the first name. I'm going to bet we don't want any numbers in the first name, so I'm going to put a little bit of validation here, a little bit of restraints on here. I also imagine the first name will be 3 numbers or greater, probably less than 20. I'm gonna put 20. You might want to do 30 just to be safe. Let's go ahead and add some attributes. Let's go ahead and add some attributes that will kind of add some validation there. So I'm going to first do the pattern attribute. So the pattern attribute allows me to specify whatever pattern I want that is allowable in this field. I'm going to do A through Z uppercase, A through Z lowercase. Okay, so I'm got a pattern attribute. I'll put links in the description below that show you, what kind of patterns you can put there, what kind of expressions you can write. I had a little extra text there. All right, so I'm going to add a max length. I think it will be, 20 characters is good enough. And I'm going to add a min length attribute. And we talked about adding 2, so 2 should be enough. Now we have a pattern that matches A through Z. We didn't allow for any numbers. I guess you could have like a Crouch the Third. That wouldn't be a first name, it'd be a last name. And also you'd probably use like 3 I's, not the number 3. But whatever, we're going to go with that. Numbers aren't allowed. So max length of 20, min length of 2, pattern A through Z, uppercase, lowercase. Let's add another span right after that element. And let's add a submit button. So I'm going to do a submit button input type equals submit. And we covered this in the last lesson. It is just a input type that creates a button. That button will automatically, when clicked, cause the browser to submit the form to the server. Pretty neat. Okay, and I'm going to save it. So real quick, the reason I added this span is to show you a little extra bell and whistle that you can add for this validation. If you look right here in this style CSS, you'll see I've added this CSS for input invalid. For the span that's after there, put a content of X with this color. And for inputs that are valid, and you may want to use an ID selector here instead of all input tags, but for inputs that are valid, with the span after, go ahead and put a check mark with this color. So pretty neat CSS. Feel free to copy that and play around with it. If this validation works correctly, it's not only going to keep the user from submitting the wrong kind of information, but it'll actually hopefully tell the user, give them visible signals that something's wrong, right? Let's go ahead and try it out. Refresh, and I have a submit button, and I have a little checkbox, and let's type in 1 character. So that didn't work correctly. I think I got a bug. Let's go see. Yep, I mistyped. Let's add that there. Need a G. Got min length instead of length, so that won't cut it. Save it, click refresh, and let's try that again. Put A, there we go. So the minimum length is 2. A won't work. If I try to submit it, I get a message saying you must provide 2 characters. Pretty neat. Automatically provides that validation and communication to the user. I'm going to put in another letter and a space, and let's try 1. Can't do 1, won't let you do it. So pretty neat stuff. Can I go more than 20 characters? It will not let me type it in. It actually will just won't let me type it in. So can't do it. Pretty neat. I'm going to click submit. Now I have some JavaScript in that web page that was covered in the last lesson. We didn't go in depth into that. It's just some extra JavaScript I have to simulate posting to a server. So when I click submit, I'm going to post this information back to this page. And this page will read that information and display it. So click submit, and it was posted back. There we go. Now, the reason it didn't display it is I have a little bug there. I'm going to change that up real quick. Gonna refresh, and there we go. See how it's displayed. So first name Shane, click submit, and my name is Shane. So I won't go in depth into the JavaScript. That's for our JavaScript building block series. We'll get into that later. Feel free to check it out when we do. So we've covered the attribute of ID, name, pattern, max length, min length. Let's go ahead and let's go back to the browser. If you look here and I'll click refresh, you'll notice there's a check mark. But what if the first name is required? Let's make it required, because a check mark, first name can't be emptied. Let's tell the form that. Click refresh, and now it's an X. You have to enter something. You click submit, it won't let you. All right, let's cover a couple of more attributes. Let's cover 3 actually. Let's cover autocomplete. So autocomplete will look at your browser history and make suggestions when you type of different words. You've probably seen that in Chrome or other browsers. And I'm going to add a placeholder. Now, placeholder allows you to put a gray entry in the form to tell the user what to do. First name here. And next, I'm going to add spell check. Well, spell check is kind of a spell check. Save it, click refresh, and it says first name here. Now you'll notice when I type, that goes away. And you'll also notice that the X is still there. I can't submit it. That's not actually the value of this form. It's just a little instruction to tell the user what to do. Now, autocomplete. What's the autocomplete do? I'm going to type in S. Whoop, type in S, H. Oh, look at there. It found my name and it autocompleted for me. So, pretty neat. Okay, the other attribute we added was spell check. Let's see how good it does. S-H-A and Shah. So Shah is not a word that it knows of. That won't work. You got the squiggly line. If you type in the rest of the name, well, evidently Shane is not a value that it knows either. So it thinks it's spelled incorrectly. You got a squiggly line. So it's a very limited spell check, but it is somewhat helpful. Let's type in T-H-E. You got the squiggly line. Type in E. Squiggly line's gone. So it knows about the word D. Doesn't know about my name Shane. Why doesn't it know my name Shane? Evidently the library's not that great. I'm pretty sure there's probably ways to add more to that. I'll have to cover that in an upcoming lesson if so. So there we go. I'm going to click submit, and my name is The. That's pretty much it for input text. That is some of the main attributes. Pretty neat stuff. I'm going to add one more field here that's called search. Now, its search is pretty much like the text input type. So there is one difference. I'm going to show you that real quick. So I've added a search box here. Now watch what happens when I type something in. S. Notice that X appeared. What does that X do? So if I type some more stuff in, if I click on the X, it clears it out for me. So that's the input type of search. I'm pretty sure that's new. That's an HTML5 element that we're using. Cool. So that's it for today. Input type equals text. Input type equals search. Pretty neat elements. If you have any questions, leave me a message below. If you enjoyed the video, click like. And if you didn't enjoy the video, click dislike and let me know why. We want to improve to help you learn how to be a programmer. If you haven't subscribed yet, click subscribe and hit that alert section. So, hey, thanks for joining. I hope to see you again. Have a great week. Bye.